Last night, a number of you were at services, and Rabbi Sorokin spoke about the story of the spies or the scouts that we read about in this morning's Torah portion. You'll remember the story, the events of the narrative. Israelites are actually at the borders of the land of Israel at this point, and God tells Moses to put together a group of scouts. It's in effect kind of like a military reconnaissance team. And their mission is to go into the land, to scout it out. What are its strengths? What are its weaknesses? Where are the population centers? Where are the natural resources? Gather all of that information and to come back to Moses and to the Israelites and to give their report. So 12 men go on the mission, 12 of them. They spend, anybody know how many days they're there, by the way? 40 days, had to be 40, right? 40 days, finding out all they can about the nature of the land and the nature of its people. They come back to Moses and to the people, and they give their report. They do the report that they give, they do it in a public setting, so it's in front of all the people. 10 of the men say that the task of conquering the land is beyond the ability of the Israelites. Cannot do it. The people who are already in the land are too strong, too powerful, and the Israelites will be defeated in battle against them. And the language the 10 men use in the Torah says literally, velo nuchal. Velo nuchal simply means we can't do it. We can't do it. It's not going to happen. It's just not possible. It's impossible. But 2 of the men, Caleb and Joshua, have a different view. They believe that the Israelites have the ability to go into the land, to be successful in battle, to defeat the inhabitants that are there, and then ultimately to enter Eretz Yisrael, the Promised Land. And if the 10 men say lo nuchal, that's their language, can't do it, it's impossible, Caleb's message is exactly the opposite, and forcefully so. Caleb says, ki yachol nuchal. It's the same word, but positive. Yes, we absolutely can. We absolutely can do this. It is within our power. It is within our grasp. And it strikes me that those 2 views, on the one hand, can't do it. It's just not possible. And on the other hand, absolutely this can happen. Absolutely this can be done. That those 2 views, in a sense, at times at least, reflect 2 lenses that today's Jewish community often uses to think about the modern state of Israel. Now, to me, it's not surprising that the 10 men come back with a negative report. After all, it was just a little while ago, just a short time ago, that the Israelites were slaves in Egypt. Egypt is the great power in the ancient world, and the 10 men, thinking about the people's recent experiences, their strengths, their weaknesses, and though that group, the 10 men, they're saying to themselves, how is it possible that a group of slaves, people who were slaves so recently, could go into the land and accomplish something that is this challenging, that is this difficult? After all, they say, they're big, those people in the land, we're small, we're weak, they say, they're strong. Thing about it is that sense, that feeling, they're big, we're small, they're strong, we're weak, that reflects most of recent Jewish history, at least for 2,000 years, when we did not have a land of Israel. That was the Jewish experience. Didn't really matter where it was being played out, if it was in Babylonia or in Ashkenaz or in the Iberian Peninsula, as the Jewish diaspora is spreading throughout the world. That was what Jewish life was like. That defined Jewish life. We were small. We were few in number. We were subjugated by foreign powers. And most of the time, we were struggling to get by and to establish communities and lives that were both safe and peaceful, often sent into exile, exiled from England in 1290 or Spain in 1492. That was the Jewish experience for 2,000 years. 2,000 years. And for many years, that also was the lens that Jewish community commonly used to think about Israel. It was that sense that the 10 men in the Torah portion brought back to Moses and to the people. They're strong and we are not. They're great in number. We are few in number. We are small. That was the way Israel was presented to me when I was growing up. Back in the 70s, in Hebrew school, that was the narrative that I learned about Israel. Israel was constantly existentially threatened. Israel was outnumbered. Israel needed our help, the help of the American Jewish community to survive. And many of you, I'm guessing, probably grew up with a similar narrative, right? As you were in your Hebrew school or just in Jewish community in general. And there was truth to that then, and there is still truth to that now, to this very day. If you lived through, for example, the Yom Kippur War in 1973, you know that for sure. You always have to retain some sense that it is a struggle for Israel, and it certainly has been through this last stretch of time, particularly this last stretch that begins with the terror attacks of October 7th. But I want to return for a moment to Joshua and Caleb. Remember Joshua and Caleb, they're the ones in the story who come back with the positive. They're the ones that say, we can do it, we can do it. Yachol nuchal, it's possible, we can do it. Because that's a lens that I think we sometimes forget to use when we think about the land of Israel today. And it's a lens I think we should use more often. Because Caleb and Joshua had it right. Israel is strong today. Israel is strong. Israel's enemies are weak. Israel is strong. Israel's enemies are weak. Now, that isn't something that's often said in the Jewish community today. It's not a message that's used often, in part, because it's not helpful when the community is trying to raise dollars for Israel, which is important. It's also not a message that fits in well with that community's general common understanding of Israel's challenges, which again is the one that I grew up with in the 70s, of Israel sort of constantly teetering on the existential edge. Think for a moment about events over this last stretch of time. Here's what's happened. Here's what Israel has accomplished. Hamas, if not completely defeated yet at least, has been decimated. Hezbollah, which is the terror proxy for Iran, has been almost completely decapitated and right now is largely non-functional. Iran is on the ropes. Israel has destroyed many of its ballistic missiles, many of the ballistic missile launching sites, and already has set back its nuclear program. And if the president decides to use military power to get involved in the conflict, I think Iran's nuclear program will be gone. Israel is strong. It is strong. And it has used its strength in this last stretch of time to make itself safer, to significantly damage its enemies, and probably through all of that to make the world itself a safer place. And the thing is, you need to have both narratives. You need both of the narratives. Israel lives in a dangerous neighborhood, to say the least. But it has the strength it needs not only to survive, but also to thrive. And I've often wondered, with this Torah portion in particular, what was it that enabled Joshua and Caleb to come back from that mission and to see things differently from the 10 other men? And I wonder if the 10 men those who believed that the challenge was too great, I wonder if they were only seeing things through the eyes of the past. And it was true. The Israelites had just been enslaved. But Caleb and Joshua, aware of the past, how could they not be, were also able to see things through the lens of the future with a sense, as Rabbi Sorokin said so beautifully to Stephen Barry right here, with a sense of optimism. See the future with a sense of optimism. And so Caleb and Joshua are able to see the possibility of the future, the possibility of success and strength, and the possibility of a free people living in safety and in security in its homeland. And they believed in that vision, they believed in that future, and they can bring back that kind of report. And when you believe in something that deeply, it becomes possible. Anything becomes possible. Ask Theodore Herzl, by the way. Right, Steve? Ask Theodore Herzl, who famously said, Im tirtzu ein zo agada. If you believe it's strong enough, the hope and the dream and the sense of possibility is strong enough, everything becomes possible. Everything. Everything. So in this time, as we worry about Israel's safety, as we pray for Israel's people, we should also remember Israel's strength, be grateful for it, and also think each and every day about Israel's future, God willing, a future of possibility, of safety, of security, of hope, and of course, what we yearn for the most, of shalom, a future of peace. Yachol nuchal, we can do it, they can do it, together we will. Shabbat shalom.